All right, so today we got a special episode of Boomer Bust. We're going to do the real grade for the Super Bowl teams. It's something I've been doing the last few years. I think it's pretty fun. But just in case you are newer to the draft stuff, I do the real grade as a segment on all my draft stuff. So I do a different team each episode. But I like to do a special standalone episode for the Super Bowl teams. And I basically go back to the 3 years prior. So it'd be the 2017 draft. And we give a grade to the team's draft. As I always tend to say, my philosophy is you can't really grade a draft until 3 years later, or a player until 3 seasons. And so then that's when you get a good idea of what the draft is, instead of just trying to give it a grade after the first night. And so that's basically what we do. So we are going to start with the Kansas City Chiefs and their 2017 draft. Now, this is an interesting one. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but just going down, first pick, Pat Mahomes. Of course, we know he's still one of the top players in the league. You got there's some names in these two drafts that I'm just not going to know, but Tano, I believe, from Villanueva, still with the team, more of a rotational guy, but second round pick. Kareem Hunt, we know, became a Pro Bowler, really good running back. Left the team not because of skill, ended up with the Browns. You got Chesson out of Michigan, who I believe is no longer in the league right now. Yeah, so not this year. Didn't stay with the team, ended up with the Washington Redskins, and this season he wasn't playing. So then you got Ukemi, I believe, bounced around this last year, ended up with the Raiders. Didn't post any stats, so I think he might have been a practice squad player, but wasn't on the active roster, but still in the league. And then he was a 5th round pick. And then your 6th round pick, you got Leon McQuay out of USC. And he was with the team for his first 2 years, but this past season, he was not on the active roster, and he never really did much. So we got 6 players. Out of the 6 players, you have really 2 that's still on the team. Out of those 2, one is one of the best players in the league, and one is a rotational piece. So you really got an interesting situation here. On top of that, Kareem Hunt's not with the team, but he's still really good. The other people that aren't with the team aren't really great players. So as far as complete misses, your 6th round pick, that's okay. 5th round pick, that's okay. 4th round pick is a little bit of a more premium round, and it's becoming more so. But to a guy that's not in the league in the 4th round, that hurts a little bit, but it doesn't completely kill you. Now, Tano, or however you say his name, being a 2nd round pick and not ever really being a true starter for you is a little bit of a hit as well, especially because on top of that, he was more of a flyer in that draft. That wasn't somebody that had, like rock solid skill set where you knew he was going to be good. It was definitely more so of a flyer or a project type player. And he's developed, he's got better, but obviously not the dominant player you would want in the 2nd round. So there's all that. But then you got Pat Mahomes. And so this is where you really start to talk about the true value of a quarterback. And now this is just one draft. I always say that to get to a Super Bowl, you have to draft well. So we're just looking at 2017. Obviously, if we look at the roster and we go through some of these other drafts, there's good hits other places. But the main force is Patrick Mahomes. And so one of the biggest reasons you got to Super Bowl is because you got the quarterback right. And how much value does that go into this? And it's especially not only being a quarterback, but being a winning quarterback that can carry a team. So there's a lot of that in there as well. And this is when I think you have true discussion. Besides just, oh, they get paid the most, they touch the ball the most, whatever. Like, this is when you really see the true value of a quarterback. And no disrespect, but we're not talking about Lamar Jackson. We're not talking about Deshaun Watson. You know, we're not talking about Josh Allen. We're talking about a quarterback that can bring you back with points, that can put up a lead, that can really move the ball, and is the soul behind the offense. And so how much is that worth? We know a team would give up almost anything to get Patrick Mahomes. So, but is that worth like your draft class being absolutely amazing? Maybe. I'm going to give it an A-. I'm going to give it an A-, solely off the strength of Pat Mahomes. Kareem Hunt's a big boost too, and I think any other circumstance he would still be with the team and be a Pro Bowler. But yeah, you missed on everybody else kind of, and then your second round pick was a little bit slouch. But I'm gonna give it an A-. I mean, you can't discount what Pat Mahomes is, so I'm not gonna sit here A+, absolutely perfect draft just because you got Mahomes. I'm not going to exactly say that, so I'm gonna give it A-. So let's go over to the 49ers. Much bigger class here, and there's a couple people that I'm going to have to look at. But anyway, we're going to go down the line and kind of see where everybody's at. So, number 1, you got Solomon Thomas, who's still on the team, but not a starter. Rotational guy. You got Reuben Foster, who is technically not in the league. We know he'll be coming back, though, once he's cleared. So technically right now he's not in the league, but he's a good player, so we'll do that. You got Akello Witherspoon, who is still with the team. He was a starter for a while, but I believe recently he was benched, and so but he's still on the team in a contributing role. We'll say that. You got CJ out of Iowa, who is a backup quarterback still with the team. Joe Williams, who's out of the league and never really played. You got George Kittle, 5th round, who is one of the best tight ends in the game. You got Trent Taylor, 5th round, who is a rotational target for them, for the 49ers. You got Peta, not even going to try to say that last name, who is no longer with the team and no longer in the league. He was in the league last year, but this season wasn't on an active roster. So there's that. DJ Jones, who is a starter for the 49ers and a big-time player for them. And then you got Adrian Colbert in the 7th round, who is actually starting or was starting this past year for the Dolphins for some games. And we know the Dolphins weren't a great team, but he got some starts for that team as a 7th-round pick. So he's still in the league. Just not with the team. So let's see here. We got 3, 6, 9. We got 10 players. All right, perfect for percentages. So with 10 players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are still with the team. So 60% of your draft is still with the team. Out of those 6 that are still with the team, you really have 2 starters. George Kittle, DJ Jones are full-time, like legit starters. And so other players still play, though. I wouldn't say like they're just sitting on a roster. So you got some supporting cast, you got some rotational guys, and then you got 2 starters, and then you got 1 that's a legit all-pro type tight end. So really good returns there. As far as the people that's not still on the team, Reuben Foster, again, wasn't a talent thing. That was more of a personal issue thing, and he'll end up being back in the league. So that's a tricky situation, too, similar to Kareem Hunt. But outside of that, Joe Williams, again, 4th round, that's kind of where it becomes a little bit of a premium. Never playing, that's a miss. That's a decent-sized miss. Peta, not being in the league, 6th-round pick, not huge. And then Adrian Colbert, still in the league as a 7th-round pick, so obviously has some talent. Then you got the boost. So here's where you really got to debate it, because you have the boost of DJ Jones becoming such a talent as a 6th-round pick that boosts you up. But that's versus the failure of Solomon Thomas as a top 3 pick to become a starter. And so, no, bones about it. I wasn't a big Solomon Thomas fan. And of course, honestly, I see him play now, and I still think there's something to be said about him, but definitely not a top 3 pick. And I honestly think you probably would have to say if he wasn't a top 3 pick, he might not have stayed with the team. You kind of, similar to a quarterback, you can't just let somebody that you put that much investment into go, unless you absolutely have to, like a Reuben Foster. So Reuben Foster, I think, is a little bit of flyer with his character issues, but great talent and was a good player when he was playing. So I'm not going to hold that too much against them. Witherspoon, I think, has given you good value. He's not a great corner, but I think he's giving you really good value for a 3rd-round pick. CJ is a really good backup. I think a lot of people would like to have him as a backup. That's really good value as a 3rd-round pick. Obviously, George Kittle is a huge value as a 5th-round pick. So there's a lot of value picks. There's that big swing and a miss with Solomon Thomas up top. And, you got your 7th-round pick that's still in the league, which honestly, like, if you don't pay attention, you might think, oh, so what? That's not common. That's not common for most. A lot of these players don't stay in the league. And so for your 7th-round pick to still be in the league, obviously you picked somebody with some talent, even if he didn't make your team. So it's tough. There's some good here. There's some not so good here. But I don't think anything's absolutely horrible. If Solomon Thomas was out of the league, that'd be a different discussion. But he's still playing for the team in snaps. So I don't know. This is a tough draft, but I think, honestly, I would give this an A- as well. I like the value of George Kittle. I like the value of DJ Jones, even though that highlights a little more the miss with Solomon Thomas. I really liked Reuben Foster. And I don't know, again, that I hold. I mean, he fell to the end of the 1st round, almost went to 2nd round. I don't know that I hold it against 49ers to take a flyer on him with his issues. So I'm okay with that. And then everything else is value. The only one that sticks out besides Solomon is Joe Williams, who I really loved at Utah. So I can understand the talent. So I'm guessing it was something personal with him. That kind of stands out. But yeah, I just can't ignore the value elsewhere on the board. So there you go. Chiefs versus 49ers. I actually give them both A-, mainly off the strength of Pat Mahomes, of course, for the Chiefs. But yeah, that's the real grade. So go down comment section. Let me know what you think about these draft classes. Let me know what you think about the Super Bowl. Who you think is going to win? Share around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you for listening.